the project is called Tools of Engagement Project. We call it TOEP for short, and it's on-demand discovery learning professional development. And basically the goal of TOEP is to encourage faculty and staff to explore and reflect on the use of freely available emerging technology tools to help expand technology within teaching, to help you build up your teaching toolbox. And so I do have a slide that has a poll on it for the sake of time. I'm just going to skip over this, but I'm not going to have you participate. And welcome to the person who just joined us online. So the poll is just asking if you just want to take a second or two to kind of think to yourself what your answer might be. What technologies do young people today, what do they use on a regular basis? And so the choices that you can pick from is email, texting, photo sharing, YouTube, social networks, or other. So just kind of get some idea in your mind of what technologies students are using, learners are using. Now think to yourself, what kind of technologies are you using in relation to teaching, or even in relation to your research? And is there a discrepancy? Would adding some of the tools that people use today, everybody in society uses today on a regular basis to communicate and collaborate, how would those tools be helpful for you in relation to teaching, and how would they be helpful for students in relation to their learning? Just to give you a little bit of a background about the Tools of Engagement Project, it is a publicly available website, and I'll share the site with you in the URL. So it's online, it's on demand. Whenever you have a desire to learn, you can pick up your nearest device, whether it's a phone or a tablet or computer, on demand, anytime, on the bus, if you can't sleep at night, it's convenient and accessible to you. It's discovery learning. It's not a website, or it's not a course that you have to follow, first step, second step. It's discovering what is of interest to you, what strikes your, what might be useful to you, and you can go and learn a little bit more about it. One of the really great pieces about TOEP is that the social network, we use Google Plus communities, and we have about 500 SUNY and non-SUNY faculty and staff who are part of that community. And that's, I think, one of the biggest benefits that people cite, being able to share thoughts and ideas with each other, and have people bounce ideas. This is the objective that I'm trying to achieve. Does anybody have any ideas? Or here's the tool that I just learned about. Here's an example of it. Also, Tools of Engagement is focused. We've tried to take the billions and billions of tools and tutorials that are out there on the internet and narrowed them down to just a few in each of the big broad categories, and curated them down and shared resources through the Tools of Engagement site. Some of the underlying principles of TOEP is that we certainly encourage lifelong learning. The very first activity that everyone is asked to do in Tools of Engagement is a short reflection about lifelong learning. We share a few resources, some videos, and we ask to have your first introduction to the community, just a tiny couple paragraphs about who you are and what lifelong learning means to you. The reason why we stress lifelong learning is in today's society, everybody needs to keep pace with the evolution of technology, and you need to be able to find solutions to your own problems when they come up. And there's so much out there and available. If you're resourceful, you can find solutions. One of the trends in education in the past was the 3 R's. Everybody's probably familiar with reading, writing, and arithmetic. Well, today's 21st century learners have to navigate the 4 C's: communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking. And one of the reasons why we need something like TOEP is our classrooms today, unfortunately, look a little bit like the Fisher-Price rotary telephone on the far side of the screen, and we need to kind of keep up with technology changes and right now toddlers are teething on iPhones. They know how to use them before they know how to walk. This word cloud is just a sampling of some of the categories that are covered in the Tools of Engagement. And we've added a bunch of new categories to the TOEP site this year. So actually this slide probably needs to be updated. We've added sections on gaming, gamification of learning, e-portfolios, open educational resources, and online learning, flipped learning. Those are just a few of the new things that are added this year. So here's just a quick screen grab of the TOEP website. And the URL is hopefully easy to remember. So the URL is suny.edu/TOEP. So the acronym for, or the name of our project was originally Tools of Engagement. And as we were trying to come up with the acronym to get grant funding, we said, well, TOE is not really good. So we put P on the end of it. So if you think of the URL suny.edu/ look at your big toe, and then add a P on the end, you'll be able to navigate to the site no matter where you are. So this is the home page, and you know, just is pretty simple. Has a Join Now button. So if you click on that button, it will take you to the registration page, and I'm going to take you really quick to that page here. So this page has information about registration. I'm not going to ask you to read the instructions, but it's basically just asking you to fill out your contact information, and we do need to have a Google address, a Gmail account that you can access Google Plus Community. And if your campus does use Google accounts, you would still need a second address because only Stony Brook is the only campus right now that supports the Google Plus communities with the campus Gmail. Once you fill out our registration form, many people are repeat in the community. They have to just re-register if they want to be considered for some of the professional development award incentives. If you're new to TOEP, then just select no, and then after you hit submit, follow these steps to join the Google Plus community. You'll also get these instructions in the email once you submit that form. So once you get through the registration process, then it's up to you to just explore the site. Under this Discovery Learning menu, Discovery Learning Activities, there is all these items that are listed on the left-hand side. Each section is kind of structured similarly, so this lifelong learning section has a little bit of an introduction followed by an audio clip. Then once you get to the next page, the pages are just filled with many resources. Sometimes they're videos, sometimes they're tools, sometimes they're tutorials. So it's just up to you to kind of explore what's of interest to you. And then you would be able to come to back to the home page and fill out, complete one of these discovery exercises. There's a choice of 2, maybe 3 in each section, and they just ask you to reflect on something that you've discovered or learned. And then you would make a post into the Google Plus community with your couple paragraph or 2. What did you learn? You know, what was surprising? What might you use in your teaching? And many have the opportunity to possibly create an account. So if you're in the video section learning about creating videos to flip your classroom, you might actually create a quick video, use it with your students, and then you can reflect on that in the community. The last thing you do is you earn a digital badge for each of the sections that you complete. This screen is just a quick example of what the community could look like. So there's just a reflection from a faculty who tried Google Docs with her students. And then one thing about the community is that people do share back tips on, you know, other things to consider, maybe some cons of, you know, what you might, you know, how to make sure that whatever you are working on, make sure that it's accessible to everyone, alternate tools. One thing that we're pretty proud of is that the conversations in the TOEP community, they always focus on learning. They're not only technology focused. Certainly we do talk about the tools, but the 4 years that we've had the community conversations, we've taken a copy of the text from that year, and each of the 4 years, the terms students and learning have been the most often used terms, as shows up in this word cloud. You might ask, so what's in it for you? Why would you even bother taking the time to participate? Well, there's on-demand resources. So if you have, as you're over winter break, trying to build up your activities for students, there's on-demand resources. You can go to the site, feel free to copy any of the tutorials or the information and share it with your students. It's all Creative Commons licensed, and that just means that we would hope that you would give attribution to TOEP if you did share a substantial amount. We talk about, or you can improve your teaching and learning practices using instructional technologies. There's also incentive awards, and we have different awards each year. They're issued, we usually go from like October to April, and there is an FAQ on the site that can give you more information about that. But the basic steps are to go to the TOEP site and to register using that form. Then you complete the lifelong learning activity and introduce yourself to the community. You then choose 3 out of all of those discovery learning activities and claim 3 badges. And finally, at the end of the academic year, actually I think it's around April, you summarize your learning into the TOEP community. You're then able to claim a TOEP Mastery Badge. And then at the end of the year, we have peer review voting. So everybody that's in the community will place a vote for individuals that have shown very innovative ideas on how to use technology tools for teaching and learning. And then we have some conference funding, or it can also be used for training through the SUNY Center for Professional Development of $300 each. We usually have, I think, about 3 first place awards. So in order to participate, we run through the academic year. The deadline to register for this year's round of incentives is February 14th. So if you have colleagues that have not heard about TOEP, you have till the, a little bit after the start of this spring semester to encourage your colleagues to work alongside with you. And as John had mentioned, when you do have, a partner to kind of learn along with, that kind of gives you a little bit of a motivation, or small working groups. We've noticed that sometimes those people are much more active because they have a local cohort to work with. So if you can complete the 5 short activities, you can possibly do these activities in a half hour to an hour. Complete those by April 4th, you would be considered eligible for the award incentives. I'm going to skip through. This presentation has a couple pages about the things that you'll find in the site. I'm actually going to take you to the site, but you can see that we talk about photo sharing, social bookmarking, citation management. Here's some of the presentation tools. Collaborative spaces, kind of like what I'm talking to you through now, a web conferencing solutions that are, everything on the site is freely available. So Skype, Hangouts, VoiceThread are freely available web conferencing tools. I think the video section is the most popular section. Everybody's very interested to try to capture some of the lectures maybe that they're using in a passive teaching mode, flipping them and providing those to students outside of the classroom time. And then when you do have the face-to-face time with your students, you're able to take much more advantage with it. So just a question for you to think about, how might you integrate TOEP tools into your teaching? And maybe just glance through the site when you have time and try to identify just 1 or 2 tools that you might want to explore. You don't have to spend a lot of time. Just tiny steps, one in front of the other, will help you get to your goal. So let me take you to the actual site. And just very quickly, this home menu has the Join Our Community registration form. The FAQs kind of lets them meet if you have questions about how the project runs. On this resources page, there's a short video similar to what I'm talking to you about now, some posters that you can share around. The badges that are issued through TOEP, we talk about digital badges, and about 80% of the badges that have been awarded through TOEP have been shared through participants' LinkedIn profiles. And so if you earn a badge in relation to flipped learning, you could put this badge on your LinkedIn profile to signify that you took steps to improve your understanding. Here's just some of the badges, and everyone who completes the minimum requirements will get the mastery badge. Here's the first place and second place badges up at the top. Here's a list of the discovery activities. They're also available on the side. These couple pages, they talk a little bit about the past statistics, you know, the campuses that are involved, how many people we've had go through the project. One of the follow-up surveys that we sent out to the 3-year participants for the past 3 years, they said that prior to participation in TOEP, they often or very often use tools in their teaching about 23% of the time, and then after their participation in TOEP, their use of technology tools in the classroom, or their likelihood of using them, went up 100% to close to 49%. So I'm going to kind of stop, and I can show you any part of the site that you're interested in. If you want to hear from fellow faculty what they thought about TOEP, come to this page, What Are People Saying? And we have some nice testimonial videos and some additional statistics about you know, participation in the project.